Okay, it is Saturday, July 2nd. It is 8:35 p.m. and I am going to specify and actually explain more about the electric flat earth theory. And the electric flat earth theory is actually a misnomer, and I'll go ahead and get into that in a bit. But before we even do that, let me explain a few things. So, globeheads are running around there trying to prove things. And as we see right here on mainstream, we have mainstream science right here. I'm going to scroll down. Here's Forbes.com. Scientific proof is a myth. ScientificAmerican.com. The idea that scientific theory can be falsified is a myth. RealClearScience.com. Scientific proof is a myth. Is scientific proof a myth? And Quora, there's a lot of people that talk about that. Where's the proof in science? There is none. Conversation.com. Psychology Today. Common misconceptions about science. Number one, scientific proof. Okay, so as you can see that we can go down the list, and off of mainstream science, we definitely see that there's no such thing as proving a truth or trying to prove something. Okay, there's you don't. That's not how science works at all. and it's right here on mainstream science. You could clearly see that that's what it's showing. Okay, moving forward with that one established fact, we have the process of elimination. That is the scientific method. The scientific method entails the process of elimination. And what happens is you don't try to prove a truth. What you really do is you use the scientific method and you disprove all the fallacies, you disprove all the untruths, you disprove all the lies, you disprove the incorrect, wrong models, the unworkable models, all of that. You disprove it. What's left is the truth. And truth is then um, left standing alone. Okay? All right? That's how it works. There's you could look it up in between science. You use the scientific method. You disprove the fallacies. Whatever remains must be the truth. That is how science works. Okay, I could easily point out, this is not the actual topic. I'm just pointing this out because that's something that I took uh, into consideration as I went out and without any bias tried to explain reality to myself. Okay, so redundant. When you say I'm going to prove this true, that's a redundancy. You don't need to say that's totally redundant. A lot of these things are totally twisted and are not science. Like you're gonna believe in science. You cannot believe in science. Science is a practice, and then if you practice the scientific method, you disprove the lies. So you practice just proving the lies. Whatever remains, standing solely firm, without any doubts, is the truth. That's how science works. It's not about your feelings, not about your emotions or any of that. You guys want to be falling in love with this whole gravity thing? Oh, it's cool. It's a cool theory or something. That's stupid. There's no reason to believe in gravity when it's falling apart all the way around. It's never been proven, and they keep make twisting it and adding more uh, 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 virtual factors that don't exist in reality. They're just purely mathematical concepts that have no basis in reality. Exactly like Nikola Tesla had explained. Okay, so moving forward, the electric flat Earth theory, I could have named it, or I should have named it, the infinite electro-interactive dimensional plane of existence. And what that basically is the merger of the ancient American um, material plane of existence with information theory, Shannon Cloud, specifically Shannon Cloud's information theory, with AC theory, DC theory, more, electrical theory basically, and a few more other aspects that was included. And basically it's a set of principles based on facts, on actual facts, factors, and it's nothing about proving this or proving that. It's describing the observable reality as is. Whatever can be eliminated gets eliminated along the way. Now, what's gonna trip you guys out? And here's the material plane of existence. It's not just, it doesn't just, it's not just from America. There's a lot of other places where they didn't even, the concept of being on a ball spinning in a vacuum was not something they even thought about at all. That whole globus worship came from let's back up. And I already explained it many times over. That whole that whole globus worship goes all the way back to Ptolemy. And Ptolemy's model coincides, let's see if we find it, with the celestial sphere. Well, celestial sphere and Ptolemy. And there we have it right here. You see that the different, this one is a Ptolemaic model right there. You see the Earth in the center is a globe, and then the other celestial spheres move about in circuits. Now, I've already explained in the last videos, the Ptolemaic cosmological model is actually more accurate than heliocentric model, and the reason why that they don't use it, because it was due to philosophical grounds, it was excluded as being, a hardcore principle. But yet, when you go and study about the Ptolemaic model, they tell you it is according to observable reality and apparent motion, the heavenly bodies in the sky. This totally makes more sense. Now, this Ptolemaic cosmological model, believe it or not, is similar to the Mayan infinite plane model that's from the Americas. It's similar and this Mayan infinite plane of existence, that this realm that they believed in, that this realm that they had a concept, their model, okay, it has nothing to do with being a material ball stuck in a vacuum, which the vacuum has some kind of imaginary boundary, nothingness boundary or something. It was nothing like that. So this is something that I've already studied. And so let's move back real quick. I'll move back and forth. Okay, so back and forth. The cosmological model from Ptolemy and the heliocentric model coincide with the celestial sphere. And there's many views or many ways of trying to see the celestial sphere. Just move out of the Ptolemy cosmology. And go just straight to the celestial sphere model. So as we can see, here's the celestial sphere model. There's your globe heads. And so basically, it's a snow globe, and then there's still that flat plane disc, irregardless of how many times you want to, argue this fact. That they even the globe head, the globe head model includes flat, stretchy space time upon which all these celestial bodies spin around on top of. So the flatness is something you guys just can't escape it. It's hilarious. All right, there's more of the celestial sphere. Now, believe it or not, you guys are gonna trip out on this. The celestial sphere is synonymous to the firmament. And so somewhere beyond Saturn was a firmament or vault of heaven where the stars resided. Some people saw the firmament as a literal dome or sphere where the stars hung. They considered the celestial sphere to be real, physical structure, and all the stars were more or less the same distance from Earth. This is the physics Libre text, the celestial sphere, as you can see right there. It's a physics thing. Firmament, okay, is a biblical cosmology with the vast. That's the Wikipedia. We'll go beyond Wikipedia so you guys don't say it's an unreliable source. General astronomy, the celestial sphere. The celestial sphere is an imaginary hollow globe that encloses the Earth. The sphere has no undefined size. It can be taken to be infinite. But according to the Big Bang, it wouldn't be able to do that. So this one right here from Wikibooks, or that general astronomy book, is basically contradicting the Big Bang. You can't have an infinite, celestial sphere that's, if the Big Bang came out of nothingness. Because infinite is not nothingness. So basically, we can go to the images. There's a celestial sphere. There's many ways of viewing this. As you can see right here, they try to mix it up. They put a person on the top of the globe, looking out on a curved, and then over here you see the observer would be on the flats, on a flat plane. There's another one right there. So the celestial sphere is the firmament. It's the same. It's synonymous to it. It's the same thing, guys. Now, the celestial sphere, okay. There's that globe. There's a celestial sphere. That's hilarious. Okay, so the celestial sphere is actually, and the Ptolemaic and the heliocentric came from the Catholics. We already established that the Catholics adopted that from the Babylonian Greco religion that was adopted by the Romans and then adopted by the Catholic Church thereafter. And along the way, it changed many times over, and it went from the Ptolemaic geocentric globe model to the heliocentric Apollo Baal worshipping model. And so what's going on is that the reason why that has changed many times is because of the calendar. Okay. Now, the calendar that we all use right now is the Gregorian calendar. Okay, so the Gregorian calendar from the dictionary, the Oxford Language Dictionary, is the calendar introduced in 1582 by Pope Gregory VIII as a modification to the Julian calendar. So the Julian calendar and the Gregorian calendar are tied to the Ptolemaic and heliocentric models, to both of them, and to the celestial sphere. All of this is all relative. Okay, it's all relative. So this is all relative to the firmament. It's hilarious. So the Gregorian calendar is a failed calendar. It's not the most accurate calendar. They've had to change it many times. They've had to modify it many times. And both the Julius came from the Romans, and the Gregorian calendar came from the Catholics, which of course I just mentioned were adopted forms from the from the Babylonian Greco religion, cosmological religion. Now these are based on orbits and mathematics. That's why you guys are like, I do math and I do this. No, like no, you did not do any math, and their math has the Catholics' math has failed many times over. They've had to modify it and remodify it and modify it many times over. The orbits, the revolution, the rotation, all of that has to match up. None of it matches up. All right. Not only does that the astronomy not match up, okay, it doesn't match the seasons. As we can see right here, the seasons, the equinox, and the solstices. And as we can see, why meteorological and astronomical seasons don't line up. Understanding astronomy. Sky tellers. You can see that they'll show cartoons and they'll try to give many reasons as to why the seasons and the heavenly astronomical seasons don't coincide with the seasons here on Earth. And not only that, not only do the seasons and the heavenly bodies do not coincide, the seasons, the heavenly bodies, and holidays do not coincide. Okay, you have to add in the culture aspect to this. All right, you have so specific holidays are on certain days, and specific other holidays are due to the seasons, and then other holidays are due to time, not actual dates but times. So you have December 25th would be Christmas, no matter what. It lands on December 25th. Then you have, in comparison to that, you have Thanksgiving, which lands on the third Thanksgiving of every month. Of every November. So every November on the third Thursday, you have a Thanksgiving. So that could be anywhere between the 21st. It could vary. It varies on what date. The third, it could be like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. The third Thursday. The third Thursday of November can have a different date number, as opposed to Christmas, which will always land on December 25th, and that could land on a different day. Right? And then you have Easter, which has to do with the season. Now, the Gregorian calendar has failed so badly and has been twisted so many times that what happens is Easter ends up the season. You'll feel the season of Easter will actually end up next to Christmas. Or what will happen, Christmas will roll over onto Christmas, December 20th. If you keep up the calendar without adding the numbers that they add for leap year and all that, Christmas will sooner or later, December 25th, will end up on a hot, sunny spring day, which would be right around the time that you should be celebrating Easter. Right? So they knew this. They've known this for a long time. So that's why they've modified it over and over. They've added leap year. They have to they changed. They had to change. When they restarted the Julius to the Gregorian, they removed like 13 days. They went 13 days without restarting the calendar. It's just like weird stuff. Like the way the calendar comes from Europe is totally different as compared to the calendars that were over here in the Americas. Now, the Mayan calendar, as opposed to the Gregorian and Julius calendar, is way more accurate. You guys can look that up. The Mayan calendar is way more accurate. And the way it works, and we've already gone over this, that, ancient documents include the Bible. And, so ancient documents are science. And here we did also confirm that on the last episode that history itself is science and art. History is both science and artistic, right? So here we have the Mayan calendar. The way the Mayan calendar is beautiful art, and it's accurate. Is pretty accurate. And the way it works is a circle within a circle within a circle. As a smaller circle moves, we can see right here.
Gradually, Firstman worked out how the Maya marked time, a system now called the calendar round. The calendar round is made up of 3 interlocking cycles: a 365-day solar year, a cycle of 20 names, and a cycle of 13 numbers. Days are designated by the way these 3 cycles line up. For example, this day is 3 Manik, and the 14th of the month Pope, followed by 4 Lamad, 15 Pope, 5 Muluk, 16 Pope, and so on. 52 years will pass before the 3 cycles line up in the same way again. Then, these days will repeat. Like our days of the week, the calendar round cycles on and on forever. It is not by itself tied to any specific starting point in history. But Firstman's greatest triumph came when he realized that some very large numbers in the Venus pages of the Dresden were counts back in time. They tied the Venus records to an historical starting point thousands of years earlier. It fell on the calendar round day 4 Ahau 8 Kumku. From Maudsley's photographs, Firstman knew that this extraordinarily ancient date appeared throughout the Maya world, from Palenque in northern Chiapas to Quirigua in southern Guatemala. Firstman concluded that for the Maya this date marked the creation of the universe. Just as Western culture measures its history from the birth of Christ, so the Maya measured their history from the date of creation. This system of dating is known as the long count.
And even the long count, even though it says it's a creation, it's a rebirth. It's a recreation. It's a loop. It's a circuit. All right. So, as we can see right there, so already establishing that the according to the Babylonian Greco-cosmological model and its extended models or its modified models such as the heliocentric and the Julius and Gregorian calendars. Okay, so none of that matches up. And you guys can look that up. The Mayan calendar is way more accurate than all that, than the Greco-Babylonian crap that I have no reason to believe. So taking all that into consideration, we'll go ahead and read off the actual theory itself. Okay, so the electric flat earth theory is a misnomer and actually is a set of principles. So principle number 0, information. Information is energetic. Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Before I even get into this. So basically what the electric flat earth theory is, like I said, I could have named it the infinite electro-interactive dimensional plane of existence. And the reason being is what I did was, based on those ancient texts and the ancient hieroglyphs and the ancient Mayan cosmological model, and merging it with Shannon Claude's information theory, Tesla's AC and DC theories, just electrical theory And no, I was never part of the electric universe theory. To them, their answer to everything is plasma this, plasma that. I'm not into the whole. Yes, I believe plasma is important, but I don't believe that that's like like some type of, you know, and problem, answer to any problem. Because to me, this is not a problem. And somewhere you guys are trying to figure out reality until you it's a problem, but to me, it's not a problem. So yeah, I could have named it that because what I've done basically is merged the the ancient American plane of existence with electrical theory, and information theory, and added a few more extra aspects to it on the side. And so having established all of that, we'll go ahead and move forward. And again, this is me going out and trying to establish what reality is without having that. I'm sorry for you globeheads that still have that. You guys can't stop seeing a globe in your mind. Like, your eyes don't work. Like, you really see a globe in your mind. Like that, like there's an image burned into your memory bank, and you can't think because it pops up in your head all the time. I don't have that problem, okay? I don't see that globe when I look out into reality. I don't. All right? I dumped that way before I started saying, okay, I'm gonna try and figure this out. Then, if the globe got debunked and the globe is a lie and it's propaganda, and science is telling me not, that it's a lie, that it's propaganda, then I have only one thing left to do, and that's to go out and try to define reality for myself. And without having that whole globular delusion in my mind, in my way, blocking my eyesight. Okay? So I walked out and I went to the cliffs, and actually all of this came to me at a cliff. I was at Friendship Park. It's not really a cliff, it's just a park where you could see the port of Los Angeles, and then you look out and you could see the Pacific Ocean. It's a real beautiful sight. You could hang out there. Actually, it's one of the places I used to take girls out. Take my women out to woo. And at night it's a great sight. But one day I was out there, and it was during the day, and as I was out there and I was looking, and what I had in my mind was the fact, or the established historical fact, that Marconi, using Tesla's technology, sent wireless signals across the Atlantic Ocean back in 1901. And I was looking at that, and I'm like, yeah, you know what? I've never seen a satellite, when I seen on cartoons. I never did believe in that as I did, because as I was as I worked in the telecom industry, I watched all those antennas change. I watched the trend change from fishbone antennas to square antennas for tele TV that came from I believe it was AT&T that started that, or one of the telephone companies tried starting that. It was called Tele TV. That was a square that was pointed at Mount Wilson. Then there was so basically I just watched all those. I watched the trend change when they changed from Primestar to DirecTV, and DirecTV bought out Primestar. I was big in that. Wow, me and my dad, rest in peace, we did so many installations, conversions they were called, because they're real simple. You take the dish off, put the new dish on. You would eliminate the secondary line and barrel out a direct path. And because there was two different coax lines, you were able to manipulate it and make mirror outlets. So and then so you just swap out the receivers, the box tops, the cable box at the top of the TV. Just swap it out. Boom, you would do a house with 4 rooms easily within an hour and a half, and re-educate the client on their new cable system. Tons of money. So anyways, I watched all these antennas change. So I never believed that whole. I would look at the sky. I never seen anything up there. If I'm not gonna believe in UFOs, or angels, what's the deal? I'm looking at the sky. I don't believe in angels. I don't believe in UFOs. I don't believe in. Well, I see that there is some physical phenomenon in the sky, that seems to be totally electromagnetic, or maybe electrostatic, but I don't see little green men flying around in a saucer up in the sky. Just like I don't see, I don't have no reason to believe any of that propaganda. And being that I understand the history of telecommunications, I know damn well that the whole this whole NASA and you know idiots in diving suits supposedly up in the sky, looking like they're diving into the sky. I have no reason to believe that at all, because I know that came from the Nazis. That's literally Nazi Germany technology. It came from Nazi Germany. There's no reason for me to believe that at all. Okay, not to mention the television itself. It was definitely invented to manipulate the minds of the viewers. It is definitely a brainwashing tool. There's no doubt about that. It's admitted. It's admitted in the patent. All right. Moving forward with all that, and I'm sitting on top of that. I'm sitting up there and I look, and I'm looking at the flat horizon, and I'm like, well, wow, existence is something way different than what they told us. I kind of got mad at that point. Because I was already doubting the globe. I was already getting ready to dump it. But looking at how reality looks when we see with our eyes, and you don't have that delusion anymore in your mind just opens up. And right there at that moment, I had, I guess, what they call an epiphany, right? I guess that was my epiphany moment right there. And I realized that, well, yeah, they bounced the signal across the damn sky. Tesla himself was explaining that it was a bounce. And then knowing that bounce, I already had started thinking that, okay, the satellite dishes are all, they're all parallel. They're pointing in the same. It doesn't mean, one day I had a job site where I had a route for satellite for DirecTV, and I started in East LA and ended in West LA. No, I started in West LA, hit East LA, and then ended up in Ontario, all along the 10 freeway. And from West LA all the way out to Ontario, it had each installation that I did had the same elevation and azimuthal positions. All of them, all there was 4 separate jobs. 2 of them were together on Ontario on the same site. I mean, on the same block. The one in Ontario was a lineup, one of those new home communities that were being built, and people were, barely moving in. The block was brand spanking new, and the customers had a chance to choose cable TV or satellite, and there was a designated place to put the dish and everything, and homeowner association, the whole deal, and throughout all those 4 jobs, for some reason off the 10 freeway, they all had the same azimuthal position and the same elevation angle positioning. I was like, that doesn't make sense, because if I'm parallel with someone 3 blocks away, and we're pointing the same azimuth and the same angle, we're not shooting at the same object. We're shooting in the same direction, not necessarily the same object. So that whole space space satellite crap that was shown to us on cartoons and all, I knew not to believe that right away. And I already had been told that by DirecTV through Pete's connection to stop asking questions, because even if they here's what they said, even if they wanted to tell me the truth, they couldn't tell me, because it was proprietary information that was protected federally. That's what the fuck they told me. So all of that came down that one moment. I'm sitting up there on top of Friendship Park, and it just dawns on me, it's a bounce. And the angle, and the azimuthal position to which I was pointing each dishes proved that there was a bounce, that the signal itself was coming at a certain angle from a certain azimuthal position. It was a bounce. It was literally zigzagging across the sky. That's why the dishes are pointed at specific angles and in throughout entire zip codes. You look it up on how to how to point those parabolic antennas, and it says, throughout, it's a whole zip code. So a whole zip code is parallel. All right, it's in the same direction. I had no reason to believe that we're pointing at some little small target in the sky. Then all the dishes would be pointing. They wouldn't be having the same azimuth and elevation positions. Those positions would differ, and you would be able to see on one block all the dishes kind of angling towards one object, but that's not what you see. You see them parallel, pointing at the same direction. All right? Having known all of this, it just made sense. It's a bounce, and the flatness that I seen was there. All right? No curvature, no end, no edge, none of that. No black hole, no wall, none of that, none of that. It's just me looking at what seemed to be infinity. All right? So having said all that, we could go ahead and read it. And so the electric feather theory is a misnomer, and it actually is a set of principal factors. Principle number 0, information. Information is energetic, and energy carries information. Like numbers, there is no beginning nor end to information, nor end to energy. It is a circuit within a circuit within a circuit. Principle number 1, observable reality. Observable reality is a concept that stems from the electro-interactive mind. It is electrical signaling that mediates both the conscious and subconscious mind. Principle number 2, observed personal experience. Observable reality is affected by both the internal decoding processes and external information gathered from the environment, both of which are satellites to that individual's core memory bank. Principle number 3, observed collective experience. There is no limit to the observations, for there is no end, there is no wall, there is no hole, there is no vacuum nothingness boundary, nor is there any curvature containment to reality that has been personally observed by anyone. Principle number 4, mass and matter. Matter is dense energy oscillating, which we perceive as being relative within the massive collection of shared experiences. Principle number 5, timed space. The space you occupy shall be timed as all frequencies are. Principle number 6, macro, meso, and micro. Time is not universal. Rather, time is an individual experience that ties in the material plane of existence together via individual informational energetic circuits. This is on all the levels of this material plane. Principle number 7, intelligence. Energy plus information plus time space equals intelligent potential. Principle number 8, imagination. Imagination is intelligent potential processing. Principle number 9, creativity. Creativity is intelligent potential in action. Principle number 10, practice and perfection. Creativity can be perfect without perfectly. Creativity can never be perfect without perfectly practicing to perfect the practice of perfection in order to perfect the practice of perfecting perfection practices. Okay? So, when I started the Flat Earth versus Sphere Earth, I did it to catch all you Globers, in a loop. All right? You're in my circuit that I created. You can't escape it. There's no way of escaping this. The more you do it, okay? The more you try to escape, okay? And the more you try to deflect, all right? The bigger your burden of proof becomes. All right? the more you beg Flurs to believe in the globe, the more they're going to dump it. Okay, the more you beg, the more they dump it. Do you comprehend that, globeheads? Your burden, the more you try to prove, the bigger your burden of proof becomes. Do you guys even science, bro?